Hi, this is Brent from Black Pro Gaming, and I'm here to talk to you about Chaos Knights today. So, I'm quite new to the competitive scene, and one of the issues I really have is when I go into an army I haven't faced before, and I have no clue on how to beat it. So, the way I'm getting around this is I am playing as many different factions as I can. I'm taking them to RTTs, and I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to get some experience. And recently, I took some Chaos Knights to an RTT. They did okay, I went 3-1 and I learned some things, and hopefully I'll get to share those things with you today. So, this is a list I took, just so you know. I took a Stalker with a sticky enhancement because that to me sounds like a good enhancement for knights where you want to try and push your enemy. I took 3 Brigands. These are what everyone sort of go. You see a lot of these. They're quite shooting. They can kill things quite well. They've got a long range melter attack. 6 Carnivals. These guys are fast and they are good in combat. They have lots of attacks, high strength, high damage. 2 Huntsmen. These are cheap knights. I'll be honest. I took these because they have melters and close combat weapons, but at the lack of attacks and weapon skill, ballistic skill. I then decided to take some allies in the form of Nurglings and Plague Bearers, more sticky and also lots of OC. I kind of figured from what I've seen, this is how knights work. So I played 4 games. I only lost one to Drakari, and it went okay. They have lots of OC. They're very good. But how do you beat them? Well, the most important thing to know is they have a very limited roster when you're facing them. You there's not going to be a lot of gotchas when you're playing Chaos Knights. You're going to know what data sheets they use. There's going to be 2 or 3 max normally. So that's one thing that you have, like, there's less of a mental load when you're playing them as your opponent, which is quite nice. It's quite nice when you come up against them if you can deal with the hard stat check. They're all toughness 10 minimum. They've got 3 up armor saves. They've got an invuln save, about 11 runes, I think. And if you are just playing 13 War Dogs and you can't deal with that, it's miserable. So the game I lost was against Drakari, and they just had tons of haywire. So they looked at my knights and were like, yeah, cool, that's fine. I'll just pick up 2, 3 of them a turn, easy. And because I knew they could do that, I had to play defensively, and I lost the game on primary. So, and secondaries because they had board control. Now, the reason you might be thinking, like, oh, why are you playing defensively? They're only picking up 2 or 3 knights a turn. Well, the answer is it really feels like after you've lost about half of your knights, even though you've got half your army left, it feels like you can do very, very little. It feels like you've lost like gone off a cliff. And I think it's because you don't have as many cheap units to do actions. So 13 units sounds about average, but say in Space Marine, you'll have like 3 units of scouts, and their only job is really to do secondaries. Whereas with War Dogs, if you lost half your army, you have lost 1,000 points, and you feel it. You really do. Turns 4 and 5, if you've like come out the gates fast, score points, but then lost some, you are trying to. I always felt like I was trying to claw on. So if you're playing against them, try and pick them off early, and they will struggle in the later rounds. Inconsistency. So you might have noticed I took a couple of huntsmen in my list, and I the knights don't have a lot of inbuilt rerolls. Not like Space Marines with oaths or strats. What they do to counter this is they take lots of carnivores and brigands because they're weapon skill 2 and ballistic skill 2, and this sort of like is about the same as having an inbuilt reroll, which is nice. But that obviously leads to lack of diversity. So what we see is to cover this weakness, this inconsistency, they'll take carnivores and brigands. If they don't take this and you're playing against them, if you've got access to smoke, then like they don't have the amount of the volume of firepower where if they're missing half their shots, they like it. So I can definitely see why carnivores and brigands are the 2 most taken types of war dogs. Terrain. Oh, I was playing on GW, but mostly UKTC terrain is quite heavy. It's quite dense, especially on some of the maps. And knights in there, index detachment. They had a stratagem called Knights of Shade, and this allows 2 War Dogs or 1 big Titanic Knight to go through terrain, either in the movement or charge phase. This is excellent. What I found was I was saving CP for this strap, and it was a real crutch. Like, especially on like big L's where your opponent can like string out an inch away, not even an inch, they can be like quite far away from the wall knowing you can't go through it. So it's easy for them to screen terrain out away from you and say, oh, you've got to spend your CP, sorry, in 3 places. So terrain is definitely a struggle for them. I think that's why you don't see the Grotmus detachment as much, because it just doesn't have this stratagem. You just can't go through walls. It's so useful for them. Um, so yeah, they're the 5 weaknesses. If you're playing against knights, try and utilize terrain. Don't worry about the mental load as much. There's not going to be many gotchas, and pray you've brought enough anti-tank. That's how you deal with knights. The last thing, this is just to emphasize all my points. This is the current meta list: is 1 to 2 stalkers, 6 brigands, and 6 carnivores. No demons, because you might be playing teams and you can't take them as allies, and that's it. So hopefully you'll have learned with me that knights, they're a bit of a stat checker. It's just one of those things. You're going to have to try and take some anti-tank to your lists, add it on. You can never have enough anti-tank, in my opinion, because you can always just shoot heavy infantry with it. Thank you for joining me. Thank you to our sponsors, especially Glasshammer, Terrain Forge, and the others, and have a lovely day.